What if everything you've been waiting for in your life could happen today? What if the key to unlocking your full potential and achieving your dreams lies not in the perfect circumstances, but in the simple act of taking responsibility for your own growth? The truth is, success doesn't come from waiting for things to change around you. It starts with you. The moment you stop relying on excuses and start taking ownership of your journey is when the transformation begins. Are you ready to take charge and create the future you've always wanted? Let's dive into how taking responsibility for your growth can change everything. How to win at everything you do. The importance of mindset and consistency. The way you approach every task in your life defines your success. It's not just about talent, luck, or timing. It's about having the right mindset and making the right decisions, even when things are tough. The key to winning at everything you do is to treat every action, no matter how small, as if it matters. This mindset of intentionality, where you show up consistently and do the work even when it's hard, is what separates those who win from those who don't. The concept that how you do anything is how you do everything is central to the idea of success. Most people don't lose because they're not smart or capable. They lose because they let comfort dictate their choices. They wait for motivation, they procrastinate, and they allow self-doubt to delay their actions. When things get tough, many start believing that average is normal. But the truth is, your life begins to change the moment you stop playing small and stop giving in to excuses. The moment you start showing up with intention and push through the discomfort, that's when you begin to win. Winning isn't about doing things when it's easy. It's about doing them consistently, no matter how difficult it feels. Progress doesn't come easily. It requires discipline and effort. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they choose comfort over progress. They avoid difficult tasks and delay taking action, which ultimately causes their growth to stagnate. When you consistently choose comfort, your progress dies a slow death. Every time you pick comfort over effort, you lose the opportunity to grow. Choosing progress requires you to take action, even when it's not convenient. Your mind will always try to protect you, offering excuses to avoid the hard work. It may say, "It's okay to do it later," or "You've already done enough." But those are just excuses that keep you stuck in your comfort zone. If you keep listening to those excuses, you'll never grow. Progress doesn't need to be huge leaps every day. It's about small, consistent actions that move you forward. For example, it's waking up early even when you're tempted to stay in bed. It's pushing through the tiredness and finishing what you started. It's keeping the promises you made to yourself, even when no one else is watching. These are the small actions that add up over time to lead to great achievements. Real progress happens when you keep going, even when you feel like quitting. The worst kind of pain is the pain of regret, the feeling of knowing you could have done more, but didn't. When you choose comfort, you may feel temporary relief, but that relief will soon fade. What lasts is the deep, lasting pride that comes from pushing through the difficult moments. Winning is not about having the perfect conditions or waiting for everything to feel right. Winning is a decision. It's the decision to keep going when you feel like quitting. It's the decision to choose discomfort over comfort again and again. When you feel like staying in bed, you have a choice. Do you get up and take action, or do you give in to the urge for comfort? The winners are not necessarily smarter than anyone else. They simply make better decisions in the face of discomfort. They show up when it's hard. They keep pushing when things aren't going well. They don't let self-doubt control their actions. They choose growth, even when it feels easier to stay still. The key to progress is consistency, not intensity. Anyone can be motivated for a short period of time, but the true winners are those who keep showing up day after day, even when they're exhausted. Progress is built on consistent effort, not emotions. It's about listening to the results, not your feelings. Every time you push through, you build self-respect and trust in yourself. You begin to believe that you can handle more and take on bigger challenges. Comfort will always try to pull you back. It will always offer an easy way out, making you think that it's okay to slow down, rest, or avoid the hard work. But comfort doesn't build strength or character. It keeps you stuck in mediocrity. Real growth comes from discomfort. Real progress happens when you choose to push through the resistance, even when it feels impossible. It's not about making huge strides every day. It's about taking the right steps, even if they're small. It's about doing the hard things now so that life becomes easier later. When you choose progress over comfort, you create the foundation for success. You prove to yourself that you're capable, strong, and reliable. This mindset isn't easy to develop. It requires consistent effort and a commitment to show up every day, even when it's hard. But when you do, you'll see that every small action, every uncomfortable choice adds up to a life that's truly worth living. So, the next time you're faced with a decision, remember, progress over comfort, always. Choose growth and watch your life transform, choosing progress over comfort, the path to success. In life, most people don't fail because they lack the ability or intelligence. They fail because they choose comfort over progress. It's easy to fall into the trap of taking the path of least resistance. The truth is, progress requires effort, and effort often means stepping outside of your comfort zone. Choosing progress, especially when it's hard, is what separates those who succeed from those who don't. To truly achieve greatness, you have to stop choosing comfort and start making deliberate choices that push you toward growth. The human mind is wired to seek comfort and avoid discomfort. We naturally gravitate toward what feels safe and familiar. But the problem is, when we choose comfort, we stop growing. Progress comes with effort, and effort isn't always easy. Doesn't always feel good. In fact, it often feels uncomfortable, tiring, and challenging. But that discomfort is necessary for growth. The moment you choose comfort over progress, you begin to stagnate, and your potential for growth slows down. Most people avoid progress because they fear discomfort. They delay tasks, procrastinate, and make excuses to avoid the hard work. But growth doesn't come from avoiding difficulty. It comes from embracing it. The key is to recognize that discomfort is not a barrier, but a signal that you are moving in the right direction. Every time you push through discomfort, you make progress, no matter how small the step may seem. Even when it's hard, taking action and choosing progress is what will ultimately help you move forward. It's not about making huge leaps every day. It's about making small, consistent steps toward your goals. The effort you put in every day adds up over time. Progress isn't about feeling motivated or inspired all the time. It's about doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Waking up early when you want to stay in bed, pushing through fatigue, and finishing what you started. These are the small actions that lead to significant growth. The winners are the ones who make the hard choices every day. They don't wait for the perfect moment to act. They create that moment by making progress every day. Many people want success without facing the discomfort that comes with it. They want the rewards without the effort, the praise without the discipline. But success doesn't work that way. You can't have the results without the work. There's no shortcut to progress. You have to choose to put in the effort, even when it's hard. The pain of pushing through is far less painful than the regret of never trying. When you avoid discomfort, you avoid growth. You avoid becoming the best version of yourself. To win in life, you have to be willing to face discomfort. You have to be willing to do the hard work, even when it feels easier to quit. Success isn't about waiting for the perfect conditions to act. It's about acting despite the uncertainty, the fear, or the discomfort. You have to choose progress over comfort every time. When you make that decision, you build strength, resilience, and self-discipline. It's easy to feel like giving up when things aren't going well, but this is the moment that truly matters. The winners are the ones who don't give up when it gets hard. They keep showing up even when they feel exhausted or discouraged. The key to success is consistency. Success doesn't happen overnight. It happens because of the decisions you make every single day. It happens because you keep going, even when you feel like stopping. Every time you show up and push through discomfort, you build momentum, and that momentum leads to results. There will always be obstacles. There will always be moments when you feel like giving up. But those are the moments when you have the opportunity to grow the most. It's when things get difficult that your true character is tested. You can either give up and go back to your comfort zone, or you can push through and embrace the challenge. The choice is yours. But remember, every time you choose progress over comfort, you move one step closer to the life you want. It's easy to think that progress should come quickly and effortlessly. But real progress takes time. It's messy, it's slow, and it's often uncomfortable. But it's real, and it's worth it. Progress doesn't happen by taking huge steps every day. It happens by taking the right steps consistently, even when they feel small. Every small action you take, every uncomfortable decision you make, is a building block toward your success. In the end, it's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing the work, even when you don't feel like it. It's about showing up every day, no matter how difficult it may seem. Progress requires discomfort, and discomfort is the price of growth. If you want to win, you have to get used to being uncomfortable. You have to be willing to take the necessary steps, even when it's hard. Only then will you experience the true rewards of progress: strength, confidence, and success. So the next time you feel the urge to take the easy way out, remember that progress is always worth the discomfort. Choose progress over comfort and watch how your life transforms. Every step you take, no matter how small, gets you one step closer to your goals. Embrace discomfort, keep pushing forward, and keep showing up. That's how winners are made. The power of emotional control. How to manage your emotions for success. In life, achieving success requires more than just setting goals, making plans, or having the right skills. The key to maintaining consistent progress, especially during challenging times, lies in emotional control. If you fail to manage your emotions, they can cloud your judgment, weaken your discipline, and derail your efforts. Emotions, while a natural part of being human, can easily take control if left unchecked. Learning how to manage them effectively is crucial for making decisions that align with your long-term goals, instead of allowing temporary feelings to shape your actions. Emotional control isn't about suppressing your feelings or being emotionless. It's about recognizing your emotions and responding to them consciously, rather than being controlled by them. Life will always present you with moments of stress, frustration, anxiety, or anger. And when you let these emotions lead your choices, you often make decisions that don't serve you. For instance, many people make rash decisions in the heat of anger, say things they later regret when feeling insecure, or quit when they feel overwhelmed. These emotional reactions can have long-lasting consequences. To truly succeed, you must learn to pause, breathe, and assess your emotions before responding. One of the biggest challenges is learning how to respond to difficult emotions rather than react impulsively. Emotional reactions often come in the form of knee-jerk responses, snapping at someone, skipping a workout because you're tired, or giving up on a task because you're feeling anxious. These behaviors can create patterns that limit your potential and hinder progress. Emotional control is about building the strength to stop and think before you act. This allows you to make decisions that align with your values and long-term goals, rather than giving in to temporary emotions. Another crucial part of emotional control is the ability to separate your feelings from your actions. When you feel overwhelmed or discouraged, it's easy to let those emotions dictate whether or not you show up or put in the effort. But the most successful people are those who keep going, even when their feelings don't match their actions. It's about committing to the routine, regardless of how you feel in the moment. For example, if you're not motivated to work out but commit to your fitness plan, you push through that feeling of fatigue or laziness because you know the long-term benefits are worth it. One of the core principles of emotional control is to recognize that emotions are temporary. Emotions like anger, frustration, or sadness don't last forever. But if you act based on them, their consequences can linger. When you react impulsively, you risk making decisions that might not serve your best interests. By choosing to pause and allow the emotion to pass, you create the space to think clearly and choose actions that align with your bigger picture. Emotional control gives you the power to step back from situations and assess what's truly important, rather than being overwhelmed by the emotion of the moment. The best part about mastering emotional control is that it doesn't just benefit your decision-making. It improves your relationships and the way you handle challenges. When you remain calm and grounded, even in moments of stress or pressure, you are able to respond to others thoughtfully and constructively. This not only helps you communicate more effectively, but also builds trust and respect. People are more likely to rely on you when they see you manage difficult emotions well. Learning emotional control also means building a stronger sense of self-awareness. Understanding why you feel a certain way allows you to recognize patterns and address underlying issues. Are you angry because of something someone said? Or is it because you're feeling insecure about something else? Are you anxious about a task because you lack confidence or because you're afraid of failing? Understanding the root cause of your emotions can help you navigate them more effectively and prevent them from controlling your actions. It's important to note that emotional control doesn't mean you suppress your feelings. In fact, acknowledging and validating your emotions is a key part of the process. What matters is how you choose to respond to them. Emotions are signals. They provide insight into how we're feeling and what we might need. The key is to tune into those signals and determine the best course of action, rather than letting emotions dictate what we do. One way to practice emotional control is through mindfulness techniques. When you feel an emotional reaction building, take a moment to breathe and become aware of what's going on inside. This pause can help you avoid reacting impulsively and give you time to refocus. Another effective method is to create a system of habits that doesn't rely on emotions. For example, committing to a daily workout routine, regardless of your mood, or setting clear work goals that you follow regardless of how you feel that day, can help you build a reliable framework for success. In addition, you can train yourself to recognize and stop negative thought patterns before they escalate into emotional reactions. If you feel fear, self-doubt, or frustration building, ask yourself, what is the real issue here? Reframing your thoughts can help shift your perspective and prevent negative emotions from taking control. By mastering emotional control, you build a foundation of discipline, self-respect, and consistency. It empowers you to stay true to your values and make choices that support your goals, regardless of how you feel in the moment. It's not about never feeling upset or frustrated. It's about learning how to respond to those feelings in a way that aligns with your bigger vision. Over time, you'll notice that your ability to handle challenges and stay focused improves, leading to greater success in all areas of your life. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed or tempted to let your emotions control your decisions, take a step back, breathe, and remember that emotional control is your secret weapon. With practice, you'll learn to use your emotions as tools for growth and success, rather than letting them hold you back. Taking action. Before self-doubt takes over, how to overcome hesitation and build confidence. Self-doubt is one of the biggest obstacles to success. It doesn't strike when you're doing nothing, but rather when you're about to take a meaningful step forward. It appears at the moment of decision, right before you take action. At that critical moment, self-doubt begins to grow. It starts as a whisper, a small voice in your head telling you that you're not ready, that things could go wrong, or that you're not good enough. If you don't act quickly, This voice can grow louder, eventually convincing you to back down and avoid taking the step altogether. The key to overcoming self-doubt is to act before it has the chance to take control. The longer you hesitate, the more power you give to self-doubt. It feeds on indecision. It thrives when you allow yourself to linger in that space between deciding and acting. The longer you wait, the more self-doubt builds its case against you. It's crucial to understand that hesitation is the breeding ground for fear. The moment you feel doubt creeping in, that's when it's time to act, not wait. Action is the antidote to self-doubt. Once you take that first step, the fear and doubt begin to fade. The problem for many people is that they wait for the right moment to feel confident, or they wait until they feel ready to take action. But waiting for the perfect conditions to arrive is a trap. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes as a result of taking action. The more you act, the more confident you become. It's only by doing that you prove to yourself that you are capable, and each small step forward builds the momentum you need to keep going. Self-doubt thrives on inaction. If you spend too much time thinking about what could go wrong, you risk never starting at all. Instead of waiting for the perfect conditions or the ideal mood, take action now, however imperfect or messy it might seem. The moment you take that first step, the doubts begin to fade away because action generates momentum. You don't need to have all the answers before you act. The answers will come through your efforts. It's only through movement that you gain clarity. Think about how many opportunities you've missed simply because you hesitated, unsure of what could go wrong. Often, the fear of failure or judgment prevents us from even trying. Self-doubt convinces us that we're not good enough, not ready, or not capable of succeeding. But the truth is, success doesn't come from waiting for the perfect time. It comes from acting in spite of your doubts. When you take action, you begin to build confidence and overcome the fear of failure. The most successful people in life are not those who wait for the fear to pass or the doubt to go away. They are the ones who take action regardless of how they feel. They don't wait until they feel ready to start. They start now and deal with the challenges as they come. Confidence and success are built through consistent action, not by waiting for the perfect conditions. One way to combat self-doubt is to create a habit of acting fast. Don't give yourself time to second-guess your decisions. When you have an idea or goal, act on it immediately. Whether it's writing that email, making that phone call, or starting that project, take that first step without delay. The longer you wait, the more self-doubt can take hold. The key is to build a reflex to act in the face of fear. Every time you do this, you build trust in yourself. You prove to yourself that you can take action, no matter how uncomfortable or uncertain it may feel. Over time, this builds momentum and makes it easier to act quickly the next time self-doubt arises. Self-doubt is a natural part of the human experience. Everyone experiences it, especially when they're about to step into the unknown or take a risk. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is how they respond to self-doubt. The successful ones don't let hesitation stop them. They push through it and take action. They recognize that fear and doubt are part of the process and that they don't have to wait for them to disappear before moving forward. It's also important to realize that self-doubt is often rooted in fear of failure or judgment. But failure isn't the end. It's part of the learning process. Every time you fail, you gain valuable lessons that help you improve. So, instead of letting the fear of failure paralyze you, embrace it as part of the journey. Understand that failure is not something to be feared. It's a stepping stone to success. When you act in spite of self-doubt, you gain experience, and experience breeds confidence. A simple way to overcome self-doubt is to remind yourself of your past successes. Think about all the times you've overcome challenges before. If you've done it once, you can do it again. Remembering past wins can give you the boost you need to push through self-doubt and take that next step. The key to silencing self-doubt is to act first and think later. Trust yourself enough to take action, even if it feels uncomfortable. The more you do this, the more confident you become. With each action you take, you're training your brain to trust in your abilities. Self-doubt will still show up, but it won't have the same power over you. It will become a fleeting thought instead of an overwhelming force. In conclusion, self-doubt is a natural response to stepping outside your comfort zone. However, the best way to handle it is to take action before it takes hold. The longer you hesitate, the more power self-doubt gains. By acting quickly, you take control of the situation, reduce the influence of fear, and begin to build the confidence you need to succeed. Remember, confidence comes through action, not by waiting for the perfect moment. Start now, even if it's uncomfortable, and watch how taking that first step leads to success. The power of consistency. Show up every day, even when you feel nothing. Success is built not on occasional bursts of motivation or fleeting moments of inspiration, but on consistent effort. There will be days when you wake up and feel like doing absolutely nothing. You may feel uninspired, exhausted, or simply disconnected. On these days, it might seem tempting to skip your workout, put off your work, or abandon your plans altogether. But it's exactly on these days, when you feel empty inside, when motivation is nowhere to be found, that success is forged. The true measure of discipline is showing up even when you feel nothing. Many people can get motivated when they're excited or when things are going well. But the real difference between those who succeed and those who fall short is consistency, especially during the tough times. Success doesn't belong to the loudest or the most energetic. It belongs to those who understand that consistency is the key to achieving anything worthwhile. When motivation fades and the spark is gone, it's easy to use a lack of inspiration as an excuse not to work. But relying on motivation alone is a dangerous game. Motivation is a fleeting feeling, while discipline is something you can count on every day. It's about building habits that don't depend on how you feel at the moment. The most successful people in the world don't wait for the mood to strike. They show up regardless of how they feel. They act because they've developed the habit of showing up every day, even when it's hard. Discipline is not about having the energy or enthusiasm to do something. It's about pushing forward when your body is tired, your mind is foggy, and your spirit feels drained. On the days when you don't feel like getting out of bed, when you'd rather stay in the comfort of your blankets. That's when discipline counts the most. When you force yourself to take action, even in the absence of motivation, that's when you start building real momentum. Consistency is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. It's not about how often you feel inspired to work toward your dreams, but about how often you commit to your goals, even when you're feeling low or disconnected. Whether it's sticking to a workout routine, pushing through a difficult project, or simply maintaining a positive attitude, the power of showing up every day cannot be overstated. It's the little things, the small, consistent efforts that add up to big results. Showing up every day requires resilience and the ability to move forward despite obstacles. Life isn't always going to hand you the perfect circumstances, and you certainly won't always feel like putting in the effort. But when you train yourself to keep moving, even when you feel like quitting, you start building strength in every area of your life. Consistency is the muscle that allows you to keep going when others might stop. People often expect instant results, and when they don't see them right away, they give up. However, real progress takes time. It's not about achieving success overnight, but about doing the work consistently, even when you don't see immediate rewards. Progress is cumulative. Each day you show up, no matter how small the action, you're building something significant over time. The results might not be visible right away, but the consistent effort compounds, and over time, you will see the fruits of your labor. On the days when everything feels off and you have no motivation to move forward, remind yourself that these are the moments that matter most. It's easy to keep going when things are smooth and when you feel energized. But it's much harder to show up when life feels heavy or when you feel empty inside. This is where your true growth happens. When you commit to your goals despite the challenges. Discipline is the foundation of resilience. When you keep showing up, even when you don't feel like it, you're building the kind of mental toughness that allows you to overcome future challenges. It's not about feeling motivated or excited. It's about building the mental strength to continue even when it's tough. Every time you push through, you get a little bit stronger, a little bit more capable. There's a powerful lesson in showing up on the days when you feel nothing. You don't need motivation to act. You need discipline, determination, and commitment. Success isn't about waiting for the perfect moment to strike. It's about taking action, even when the moment feels far from perfect. The more you practice this, the more you train your brain to act regardless of how you feel. Over time, you'll realize that consistency becomes second nature. The absence of motivation won't stop you because you've built a foundation that's rooted in consistency and discipline. So, on those difficult days, when you feel uninspired or drained, don't wait for motivation to appear. Just show up. Do the work. Even if you can't give 100%, give what you can. Sometimes, all it takes is a small step forward to maintain momentum. Remember, every time you show up, you're building a habit that will lead you to success. Consistency doesn't just bring results. It builds character, strength, and resilience. The true winners are those who can continue on their journey, day after day, even when they don't feel like it. Success is a product of consistency, and those who can keep showing up even when everything inside them wants to quit, are the ones who will ultimately achieve greatness. Keep moving, keep showing up, and remember that your progress is built in the moments when it feels hardest to keep going. Embracing discomfort, the key to personal growth. Success and growth are not born from comfort. In fact, if you want to improve yourself, you have to become accustomed to discomfort. It's a hard truth, but a necessary one. True strength and progress emerge when you face challenges head-on and push through discomfort. While it may feel easier to stay in your comfort zone, it's important to understand that growth doesn't happen there. Growth is the result of embracing discomfort, not avoiding it. The problem many people face is that they equate comfort with safety and discomfort with danger or failure. But in reality, discomfort is a signal that you're stepping into new territory, that you're challenging yourself, and that you're on the path to growth. It's easy to stay in the familiar, where things feel safe, but nothing changes in that space. The key to growth is to actively seek discomfort, because when you do, you expand your limits and unlock your true potential. The discomfort you experience when pushing yourself is not an obstacle, it's an opportunity. Each time you feel resistance, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, it's an invitation to break through your limits. Many people shy away from difficult tasks or avoid uncomfortable situations because they fear failure or rejection. But the truth is, the more you lean into discomfort, the more you build resilience and strength. You have to train yourself to get used to the discomfort that comes with growth. It's not about forcing yourself into painful situations, but about understanding that discomfort is an integral part of the process. Every time you step outside of your comfort zone, whether it's through physical exercise, learning new skills, or facing personal fears, you build the mental and emotional strength required to handle future challenges. One of the ways to start embracing discomfort is by setting challenging goals that push you beyond your current capabilities. Whether it's running a longer distance, taking on a difficult project, or speaking in front of an audience, the more you expose yourself to discomfort, the easier it becomes to handle. Over time, what once felt difficult will start to feel easier, and you'll realize that your limits were much smaller than you originally thought. This is the power of building resilience through discomfort. It's also important to recognize that discomfort isn't permanent. It may feel overwhelming at first, but the longer you face it, the more manageable it becomes. The key is to not avoid it, but to keep showing up and pushing forward. The more you continue to face discomfort, the stronger and more capable you become. It's in these moments of resistance where true growth happens, not in the moments when everything is comfortable and easy. The danger of staying in comfort is that it breeds stagnation. If you constantly avoid discomfort, you are essentially choosing to remain where you are, without any hope of improving. It's important to understand that growth requires change, and change isn't always comfortable. When you step outside of your comfort zone, you give yourself the opportunity to learn new things, develop new skills, and experience personal growth. Every time you do this, you become more capable of handling life's challenges. Being uncomfortable doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're succeeding. It means you're pushing yourself beyond your limits, which is the only way to unlock your potential. Many people avoid discomfort because they believe it signals failure or inadequacy. But discomfort is actually a sign that you are doing the hard work necessary to achieve your goals. It's a signal that you're on the right track and are getting closer to the person you want to become. In fact, when you embrace discomfort, you start to see it as a positive force in your life. You begin to understand that it's not something to be feared, but something to be welcomed. By consistently stepping into discomfort, you'll find that you have more strength, confidence, and resilience to handle whatever challenges come your way. It's important to remember that discomfort is not a one-time experience. It's an ongoing part of the growth process. Every new level of success or personal development brings its own challenges. And with each challenge comes new discomfort. But rather than avoiding it, learn to embrace it. Each time you choose to confront discomfort, you increase your capacity to grow. You begin to build an identity that is not only resilient, but also unstoppable. The key to creating lasting change in your life is to make discomfort a regular part of your routine. Whether it's through physical activity, taking on new challenges at work, or facing personal fears, consistently embracing discomfort helps you expand your comfort zone. Over time, you'll find that the discomfort that once felt so overwhelming is now something you can easily handle. Ultimately, discomfort is not something to avoid. It's a tool for transformation. By consistently choosing to face discomfort, you unlock your true potential and build a stronger, more capable version of yourself. Embrace the discomfort because it's the very thing that will help you grow into the person you are meant to be. So don't shy away from challenges. Don't wait for things to feel comfortable. Instead, seek discomfort, push through it, and watch how your life transforms. Each uncomfortable decision you make brings you one step closer to becoming the best version of yourself. Your potential is limitless, but you have to get comfortable with discomfort to truly realize it. The importance of saying no to noise. How to reclaim your focus and clarity. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded with noise. Whether it's the endless stream of social media updates, the demands of work, or the pressure of societal expectations, the noise around us can drown out our own thoughts and desires. This constant distraction prevents us from thinking clearly and making decisions based on our own values and goals. To truly succeed and move forward, it's essential to say no to the noise that surrounds us and create the space to hear our own voice. Noise is not just external. It also includes the inner chatter that often clouds our minds. The endless comparisons, worries, and judgments that run through our heads create a distraction that prevents us from focusing on what truly matters. When we constantly react to external stimuli or allow our minds to be filled with anxiety and insecurity, we lose touch with our own priorities. We start living in a way that reflects the expectations of others, not our own dreams and aspirations. One of the biggest challenges in today's society is that we are taught to constantly be available, constantly engaged, and constantly connected. With the advent of technology, there's always something demanding our attention, whether it's a notification on our phone, an email that needs replying to, or a news story that we feel compelled to keep up with. However, Giving in to this constant stream of information only leads to distraction and overwhelm. It makes it difficult to hear our own thoughts and figure out what we really want from life. The first step in reclaiming your focus is to recognize that just because something is loud doesn't mean it's important. The world often tells us what we should care about, what's trending, what's urgent, what's expected of us. But these external messages are often based on others' values, not our own. By constantly reacting to external pressures, we lose sight of what matters to us personally. The key to true success and happiness is to prioritize your own thoughts and values over the noise. In order to hear your own voice, you must intentionally create space for silence. This doesn't mean disconnecting from the world completely, but it does mean setting boundaries to protect your mental and emotional well-being. It's about carving out time for yourself, without distractions, to reflect, plan, and check in with your own thoughts. In these moments of stillness, you can hear what really matters to you, your goals, your doubts, your values, and your desires. It's in this space that clarity emerges. Saying no to noise means setting clear boundaries and protecting your time and energy. It means learning to say no to things that drain you, to activities that don't align with your goals, and to people who demand your attention without giving anything in return. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve your higher purpose, you are essentially saying no to yourself. Therefore, it's important to be intentional about where you direct your focus. When you create space for silence and reflection, you begin to hear the truth beneath the noise. You start to understand your goals and desires more clearly. You can separate what is important from what is merely urgent or distracting. By eliminating distractions and tuning out the noise, you gain access to deeper insights about yourself and your life's direction. Noise often creates confusion and anxiety. It distracts you from your true goals and makes you feel scattered. When your attention is constantly pulled in different directions, it's nearly impossible to focus on what truly matters. However, by learning to block out the noise, you can center yourself and build the mental clarity needed to make decisions that align with your values. The quieter your surroundings, the clearer your vision becomes. Taking control of your attention is one of the most powerful tools for achieving success. Attention is a limited resource, and once it is spread too thin, it loses its power. Every time you allow yourself to be distracted by external noise, you lose focus and energy. On the other hand, when you consciously decide to guard your attention and protect your mental space, you empower yourself to move forward with greater clarity and purpose. The process of reclaiming your focus requires a daily commitment to silence and stillness. Whether it's through meditation, journaling, or simply taking a walk without your phone, you need to find ways to connect with your inner voice and block out the external distractions. Start by eliminating the unnecessary noise in your life. Turn off notifications. Set boundaries with people who drain your energy. And create dedicated time for quiet reflection. When you practice saying no to noise, you create the space for your creativity and inspiration to flow. You allow yourself to hear your true thoughts and desires, which leads to better decision-making and a more fulfilling life. Saying no is not about rejecting the world. It's about protecting your inner peace so you can live more intentionally. In conclusion, to truly move forward in life and achieve your goals, you must learn to say no to the noise. Noise, whether it's external distractions or internal chatter, can prevent you from hearing your own voice and achieving your true potential. By creating space for silence and reflection, you reclaim your focus and clarity, allowing you to make decisions based on your own values. Saying no to the noise is a powerful act of self-care and self-respect. It's about protecting your time, your energy, and your peace of mind so that you can live a life that truly aligns with who you are and what you want. So, take control of your attention and make the commitment to silence the distractions. In doing so, you'll find the clarity you need to move forward with confidence and purpose. Facing your weaknesses, the power of honesty, and self-reflection. The path to true growth and self-improvement begins with facing the truth about yourself. This is often one of the hardest things to do, but it is also the most important. People tend to shy away from confronting their weaknesses, whether it's a fear of failure, a sense of shame, or the desire to protect our self-image. We avoid looking at the parts of ourselves that are flawed. But here's the truth. You cannot grow or improve without facing the parts of yourself that need work. Ignoring them only keeps you stuck in the same patterns, preventing you from reaching your full potential. Facing your weaknesses requires courage. It takes strength to look at yourself honestly and admit where you fall short. Most people avoid doing this because it's uncomfortable. We'd rather pretend we have everything together or blame external circumstances for our shortcomings. But real transformation happens when we stop running from the truth and start confronting it head-on. You don't improve by pretending. You improve by being brutally honest with yourself about where you need to change. When you look at your weaknesses, you are not acknowledging them to beat yourself up or feel ashamed. You're acknowledging them to take action. This isn't about self-criticism. It's about self-awareness. You have to be able to identify where you need to grow in order to make progress. Ignoring your weaknesses won't make them disappear. In fact, they'll only get stronger and hold you back. The more you avoid them, the harder it becomes to change. The first step to overcoming your weaknesses is to stop justifying them. Often, we make excuses for the parts of ourselves that we don't want to face. Maybe we say, "I'm just not good at that," or "That's just how I am." These justifications allow us to stay in our comfort zone and avoid the hard work of improving ourselves. But growth doesn't come from making excuses. It comes from acknowledging that there's room for improvement and taking the necessary steps to address it. The next step is to stop comparing yourself to others. It's easy to look around and measure your progress against someone else's. But the truth is, you're not competing with anyone else. You're competing with the person you were yesterday. Focusing on your own journey and your own growth is the key to becoming the person you want to be. Everyone has their own set of challenges, strengths, and weaknesses. Comparing yourself to others only takes your focus off of what you need to work on. Instead, look inward and ask yourself, what do I need to improve on? What am I avoiding? What is holding me back? One of the most important aspects of facing your weaknesses is developing self-respect. When you stop lying to yourself about your flaws, you start to respect yourself more. Being honest with yourself is a form of self-love. You show yourself that you care enough to confront the areas that need work. It's only when you face the truth about yourself that you can begin to change and improve. Denial doesn't lead to growth. Honesty does. This process of self-reflection can be uncomfortable, and it can feel painful at times. But it's necessary if you want to create lasting change. You need to ask yourself the hard questions. Where have I been procrastinating? What patterns in my life are keeping me stuck? What fears am I not confronting? Facing these uncomfortable truths is the first step in building a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. It may feel difficult in the moment, but it's the only way to move forward. Once you've identified your weaknesses, the next step is to take responsibility for them. You can't improve if you keep blaming others or external circumstances for your problems. No one else is responsible for your growth. You are. When you take responsibility for your actions and your weaknesses, you gain control over your life. You stop playing the victim and start becoming the person who can make the changes necessary for growth. But it's not enough to just acknowledge your weaknesses and take responsibility for them. You must also take action. Growth requires effort, and you must be willing to put in the work to overcome your flaws. Whether it's learning a new skill, developing better habits, or working on your mindset, the process of self-improvement requires consistency and dedication. You must commit to doing the hard work, even when it feels uncomfortable. One of the most important lessons in this process is that weakness doesn't define you. It's how you respond to it that shapes who you are. Everyone has weaknesses. What matters is how you deal with them. If you confront them head-on and take the necessary steps to improve, you show strength, resilience, and a commitment to growth. If you continue to avoid them, you remain stuck and stagnant. In order to grow, you must develop the habit of facing yourself honestly, without fear or judgment. This means being willing to acknowledge your mistakes, your shortcomings, and your fears. It's not about being perfect. It's about being willing to improve, even when it's hard. Every time you face your weaknesses and take action to address them, you build confidence and self-respect. You prove to yourself that you are capable of change and that you are willing to do whatever it takes to become the person you are meant to be. So, take a moment to reflect on your own weaknesses. What areas of your life have you been avoiding? What truths have you been hiding from yourself? The only way to break free from these limitations is to face them head-on. It may be uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort is the key to growth. When you stop running from your weaknesses, you give yourself the power to transform and become the best version of yourself. Embrace the truth, take responsibility, and start the work of becoming the person you were always meant to be. Taking action. When self-doubt shows up, how to overcome hesitation and build momentum. Self-doubt is one of the most insidious barriers to success. It often doesn't appear when we're doing nothing, but right when we are about to take an important step forward in our lives. The moment you decide to make progress or take on something meaningful, self-doubt creeps in. It starts as a quiet whisper, telling you that you're not ready, that you're not good enough, or that something could go wrong. This feeling can easily paralyze you if you allow it to grow. The longer you hesitate, the more control self-doubt gains. But there is a solution. Taking action before self-doubt has the chance to take over. The key to overcoming self-doubt is to act quickly before it has time to develop. The longer you linger in indecision, the more power you give to doubt. Self-doubt thrives in moments of hesitation. The longer you wait, the more convincing it becomes. It starts to amplify your fears and insecurities, making them feel more real than they actually are. The solution? Take action right away. When you act, you break the cycle of doubt and give yourself the momentum you need to move forward. Many people waste time thinking about what could go wrong or what others might think of them. In these moments, the voice of doubt grows louder and the opportunity to act slips away. It's important to recognize that this hesitation doesn't just happen once. It repeats itself every time you face a challenge. The key to conquering this cycle is to take action immediately, without giving yourself time to overthink. Don't wait until you feel ready, because readiness often comes only through action, not before it. Waiting for the perfect moment to act is a trap. You may never feel fully confident or prepared to take the first step. Waiting for motivation or a sense of readiness is often just another form of procrastination. Instead of waiting for the perfect conditions to fall into place, take action now, even if it's messy or imperfect. The confidence you're waiting for will only come through action. Every time you take a step forward, even if you don't feel fully prepared, you prove to yourself that you're capable of handling whatever comes your way. The longer you hesitate, the more you feed self-doubt. Doubt only grows when you remain in the waiting period. It convinces you that you're not good enough or that failure is inevitable. But when you take action, even in the face of uncertainty, you start to quiet the voice of doubt. Action builds momentum, and momentum is a powerful tool against hesitation. The more you act, the more confidence you gain. The more you act, the less power self-doubt has over you. One of the most effective ways to overcome hesitation is to start small. You don't need to make a massive leap all at once. Begin by taking small, manageable steps that get you closer to your goal. Every small action you take adds up, and over time, these steps will lead to bigger results. Even if your actions feel insignificant at first, they are important because they keep the momentum moving forward. Every step you take is a victory against self-doubt. Think about a goal or a project you've been putting off. What's the first step you can take today, right now, to move toward that goal? It doesn't matter how small the step is. The important thing is to start. Once you take that first action, the rest will follow. The key to success is not waiting for the perfect moment or waiting to feel ready. It's about taking that first step, no matter how uncertain you feel. It's also crucial to recognize that self-doubt isn't something that magically disappears once you take action. It may still linger in the background, but when you act despite it, you teach yourself that it doesn't have to control you. Every time you act, despite feeling uncertain or afraid, you become stronger. You prove to yourself that you are capable of handling challenges, even when they seem daunting. Remember, the most successful people are not those who wait for self-doubt to vanish. They're the ones who act even when they feel scared, insecure, or unsure. They don't let hesitation keep them from moving forward. Instead of giving in to doubt, they use it as a signal to take action. They know that success comes not from avoiding fear, but from moving through it. The more you practice taking action quickly, the easier it becomes to silence self-doubt. This requires building the habit of acting when you feel resistance. Every time you choose action over hesitation, you build a stronger mindset. You become less reliant on motivation and more dependent on discipline. The people who succeed don't wait for the perfect mood to strike. They act because they've built the habit of showing up no matter how they feel. In conclusion, self-doubt will always show up, especially when you're about to take meaningful action. But you don't have to let it stop you. The key is to take action quickly before doubt has time to grow. The more you act, the less power doubt has over you. By taking that first step, no matter how small, you break the cycle of hesitation and build momentum. Self-doubt will never disappear entirely, but through consistent action, you can reduce its influence and build the confidence you need to succeed. The winners are the ones who act, not the ones who wait for the perfect moment. The time to act is now. Training your identity to match your highest standards. The key to achieving long-term success. Success is not just about setting goals or having a plan. It's about aligning your identity with the standards you set for yourself. The person you are today is the result of your past actions, thoughts, and behaviors. If you want to rise to a higher level of success, you must start by shifting your identity, the way you see yourself, and the standards you hold yourself to. This is a fundamental shift that will enable you to create lasting change, not just temporary results. One of the most common mistakes people make is focusing on the outcome, on the results they want, without changing who they are. It's easy to think that achieving success is simply a matter of completing a set of tasks or reaching specific goals. However, what many people fail to realize is that success doesn't come from achieving goals alone. It comes from becoming the type of person who consistently meets the highest standards. The results you want in your life are directly tied to the person you become. To reach your full potential, you must evolve into someone who naturally embodies the habits, discipline, and mindset necessary to succeed. Changing your identity is not an overnight process. It requires consistent effort and deliberate action. It's not enough to simply say, "I want to be successful," or "I want to improve." To make real, lasting change, you must embody the qualities of the person you want to become. The key is to develop habits that reflect your highest standards, not just when it's convenient or when you feel motivated, but every single day. This is where the true transformation happens. When you train your identity, you start acting in alignment with your goals and values. You begin to see discipline as normal, effort as automatic, and high standards as non-negotiable. This shift in identity requires a deep level of commitment. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about practicing the behaviors and mindsets that will allow you to achieve your desired outcomes. Over time, these behaviors will become a part of who you are, and success will begin to feel natural rather than forced. Your identity is shaped by your daily habits. If you consistently show up, even when it's hard, and maintain the highest standards for yourself, your identity will naturally evolve to match those behaviors. For example, if you consistently wake up early, work hard, and prioritize your health and well-being, you will start to see yourself as a disciplined, focused person. Your actions shape your self-image. The more you act in alignment with your goals, the more your identity shifts to reflect those goals. The problem is that most people try to change their results without changing their identity. They set goals and push themselves to take action. But if their identity doesn't align with those actions, the effort will be temporary. You can push yourself to act like someone else for a short time, but unless your identity supports your goals, you will eventually revert to your old patterns. You may experience short-term success, but without a shift in identity, it won't be sustainable. To truly change, you must start by reprogramming your identity. This means setting high standards for yourself and holding yourself accountable to those standards, regardless of how you feel. It means acting like the person you want to become, even if it feels unnatural at first. Over time, those actions will shape your identity, and you will naturally start to live up to your highest standards. This process doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, consistency, and commitment. One of the biggest hurdles in this process is the tendency to lower our standards when we don't feel motivated. When things get tough, it's easy to give in to laziness or procrastination. But successful people don't allow their moods or feelings to dictate their actions. They stick to their routines and principles, even when they don't feel like it. Your identity must be stronger than your emotions. When you consistently choose discipline over distraction, hard work over ease, and high standards over mediocrity, you begin to shape your identity into one that naturally produces success. The key to training your identity is to focus on consistency, not perfection. You don't need to get everything right all the time, but you do need to show up every day and do the work. It's about creating a reliable system of habits that will push you toward your goals. As you continue to show up, you begin to build trust in yourself. You prove to yourself that you are capable of achieving your goals and maintaining the highest standards even when it's difficult. Another important aspect of training your identity is learning to say no to things that don't align with your values and goals. To create a strong, successful identity, you need to protect your time and energy. This means saying no to distractions, negative influences, and behaviors that pull you away from your highest standards. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve your goals, you reinforce your commitment to becoming the person you want to be. Every choice you make is a reflection of your identity. You must also be willing to let go of the limiting beliefs and negative stories that have held you back in the past. Many people define themselves by their past failures, mistakes, or limitations. But your past does not define you. You are not bound by what you've done before, or what others have told you about yourself. To train your identity, you must let go of those old stories and begin to believe in your capacity for growth and change. You have the power to create a new identity based on the person you want to become. In conclusion, to achieve lasting success, you must train your identity to match your highest standards. It's not enough to just set goals and hope for the best. To truly succeed, you must become the type of person who naturally meets the standards you set for yourself. This process requires consistent action, a commitment to high standards, and a shift in how you see yourself. Your actions shape your identity, and your identity shapes your success. By training your identity to align with your goals, you can create the life you've always wanted and achieve the success you deserve. Taking responsibility for your growth, the power of ownership and accountability. One of the most powerful steps you can take in your personal and professional life is to fully embrace responsibility for your growth. It's easy to fall into the trap of blaming external circumstances, other people, or even luck for where you are in life. But the truth is, no one else is responsible for your growth except you. The moment you stop waiting for someone or something else to change and take full ownership of your journey is when real transformation begins. This shift in mindset is the foundation of lasting success and fulfillment. Taking responsibility for your growth is not about taking the blame for everything that goes wrong in your life. It's about recognizing that you have control over your choices, actions, and responses. It's about understanding that your results are a reflection of the decisions you make every day, and that you have the power to change the course of your life by taking deliberate and consistent actions. When you own your growth, you take control of your destiny. Many people resist taking responsibility because it feels overwhelming or uncomfortable. It's easier to blame others or external circumstances when things don't go as planned. However, this approach keeps you stuck in a cycle of helplessness and frustration. Blaming others or waiting for external factors to change gives away your power. When you blame someone or something for your situation, you disempower yourself. On the other hand, when you take ownership, you recognize that you have the ability to change your situation through your own actions and mindset. The first step in taking responsibility for your growth is to stop making excuses. Excuses are a form of avoidance. They are ways of justifying why you're not taking action or why you're not where you want to be. Excuses might sound logical at the time, but they only hold you back in the long run. Instead of making excuses, start asking yourself what you can do to improve the situation. What actions can you take today to move closer to your goals? By focusing on solutions rather than excuses, you shift your mindset from one of limitation to one of possibility. Taking responsibility also means being accountable for your actions and their outcomes. When you are accountable, you accept that your decisions have consequences, both good and bad. This doesn't mean you should beat yourself up for mistakes or setbacks. Rather, it means that you acknowledge your role in the outcomes and learn from them. Accountability is a powerful tool for growth because it encourages self-reflection and continuous improvement. It's about being honest with yourself about what's working and what's not, and being willing to adjust your approach as needed. One of the key aspects of taking responsibility is setting clear, intentional goals and then taking action to achieve them. It's not enough to say you want something. You must commit to the process of making it happen. When you take responsibility for your growth, you understand that it's not just about the end result, but about the journey and the actions you take along the way. If you want to succeed, you need to consistently show up, do the work, and stay committed to your goals, even when things get tough. It's also important to recognize that growth requires discomfort. When you take ownership of your growth, you accept that there will be challenges and obstacles along the way. Personal growth is not always easy, and it's not always comfortable, but discomfort is an essential part of the process. Every time you face a challenge or stretch yourself beyond your comfort zone, you build strength, resilience, and character. Growth doesn't happen in the absence of difficulty. It happens because you keep pushing forward in the face of it. Taking responsibility for your growth also means taking care of your mental and emotional well-being. You are the only person who can control your thoughts and emotions. If you want to grow, you must be intentional about how you think and feel. This means developing a mindset of resilience and positivity, even when things aren't going your way. It means practicing self-care and making choices that nurture your mental health. When you take responsibility for your emotional state, you set yourself up for success because your mindset directly impacts your ability to achieve your goals. Moreover, owning your growth means being proactive in seeking opportunities for learning and development. Personal growth is an ongoing process, and there is always room to improve, whether it's through reading, learning new skills, seeking mentorship, or reflecting on your experiences. Taking responsibility for your growth means consistently looking for ways to improve and expand your knowledge. It means embracing a mindset of lifelong learning and being open to new ideas and experiences. One of the most empowering aspects of taking responsibility for your growth is that it allows you to break free from the limitations that come with a victim mindset. When you take ownership of your life, you stop seeing yourself as a passive participant in your circumstances. Instead, you recognize that you are in charge of how you respond to challenges and how you move forward. You begin to see every obstacle as an opportunity to learn and grow, rather than something that's happening to you. Taking responsibility is also a crucial step in building self-confidence. The more you own your actions and decisions, the more you will trust yourself to handle challenges and setbacks. Self-confidence comes not from waiting for success to happen, but from consistently showing up and doing the work, regardless of the outcome. As you continue to take responsibility for your growth, you will find that your confidence grows because you know that you are capable of achieving whatever you set your mind to. In conclusion, taking responsibility for your growth is the key to unlocking your full potential. It means owning your actions, learning from your mistakes, and making intentional choices that move you closer to your goals. It requires you to stop making excuses, to be accountable for your decisions, and to embrace discomfort as part of the process. When you take responsibility, you take control of your life and your future. By doing so, you create the foundation for long-term success and fulfillment. Ultimately, it's your responsibility to invest in your growth, and the rewards of doing so are immeasurable. Taking responsibility for your growth isn't just a choice, it's a life-changing commitment. By embracing ownership, you unlock the power to shape your future, overcome obstacles, and create lasting success. The moment you stop waiting for external forces to change and start taking deliberate action, you step into a life of purpose and achievement. Growth isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. As you take full responsibility for your actions, decisions, and mindset, you'll realize that you hold the key to your own transformation. So, what are you waiting for? Your future is in your hands, and it starts today.